My name is Molina Gilbert. I am the volunteer support manager, and I work out of the national office. Well, prior to COVID, it was out of the national office. Now it's out of my own home. So what I do is exactly what my title says. Volunteer support manager. I'm here to support you and work with you to make sure you have all of the supports and information that you need. Molly, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Molly Princik. I am the Srol support manager. So I'm basically the online community equivalent of Molina. I've been here a little bit less time than Molina has. So a lot of people may recognize me as Admin Molly, answering contact us for new or existing volunteers with training questions, application questions, that type of stuff. So we are here for Volunteer Month. We're really excited to have you and thank you for joining us. So I just want to go over briefly what you can expect for the next hour. We have a big thank you we want to show you. I'll show you the calendar for Volunteer Month. Then we'll go over the 2021-2022 strategic plan overview. Then we'll talk about the Volunteer Month Training Scholarship Fund with the fundraiser and the applications. Then we'll talk about our upcoming webinar and close out with the Q&A.
All right, so before we get started on our presentation, we want to just take a couple minutes to let you, our cherished volunteers, know just how much you mean to us. The staff and board members and several others contributed to this short video that we want to show you, and we hope you really enjoy.
Hello. As we kickstart National Volunteer Month, on behalf of myself, our board of directors, and our national office team, we want to thank you all for your dedication and commitment to support Smart Recovery's organization and our primary mission.
Tremendous heartfelt thanks for everything that volunteers do to make SMART effective and help millions of people every year and their families and their friends recover from addiction.
I just want to take a minute to let you know how important you are to us as an organization.
I know that you work really hard on everything that you do and you make our lives a lot easier.
Our volunteers are so dedicated and they're selfless. All the time that they put into running the meetings.
SMART would not be able to continue on and even function in the way that it does without volunteers such as you.
We know that you are the heart and soul of our organization. We could not do what we do without each and every one of you.
I really became aware of just how good our volunteers are, how much they sacrifice for Smart Recovery.
It doesn't matter what country you are in, where the program is featured, the volunteers are what make this program the success that it is.
The efforts that you do touch people and enable those people to go on and touch and encourage other people.
The volunteers at Smart Recovery are some of the best that I've ever worked with. And I know it's because they have that same fire and that same passion, and they believe in this organization.
I'm so grateful for our volunteers and how creative you all are, and how well you know your recovery. When you have a new idea and a new need in the organization, you come to us and you say, this is what we want, and you're there to implement it and to make it happen.
And that's what SMART's all about. It's about saving lives, helping people recover, and you making a difference as best you can. And we want to support you in every way we can.
Everything you're doing and saying in those meetings is touching the lives of one person who reaches out to touch the lives of someone else, and it just spreads from there.
Now, this past year, we've heard a lot about essential workers. You guys are the essential workers of Smart Recovery.
Millions of people are being impacted by volunteers.
We know and appreciate how hard it is what you're doing, how emotional it can be, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you so much for everything that you do, volunteers of Smart Recovery, and keep fighting because you are saving lives.
From the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
On behalf of the board of directors, I just want to say to you, thank you.
We appreciate you so much. Thank you. No matter how many times I see that video, it kind of chokes me up. I'm so proud to be here to support all of you. I know all of our staff is as well. You, our volunteers, are the lifeblood of our organization. Without you, we can't meet the needs that we do. So with that being said, we really hope you know how much we value and appreciate you. We have a lot of exciting things that we're ready to share with you. So let's go ahead and get started.
So before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items. You may have noticed that this meeting is being recorded. All of the microphones will be muted while we're presenting, and we're asking that you put your questions into the chat box, but if you can hold them till the end, if at all possible, we'll be trying to go through all of those and answer those when there's time at the end. So April is Volunteer Month. This is nationally recognized among nonprofit organizations as a chance to recognize all the hard work that our volunteers are putting in. We want to engage you and have you be more involved with us and know what's going on. We also want to bring in new volunteers and help people through that process. So today is the 31st. We're at the kickoff town hall virtual meeting. There is an SMM meeting tonight. So you'll see at the orange at the bottom of the boxes is the SMM schedule for the month. Starting tomorrow is the fundraiser for the training scholarships. Then next week, you can look forward to Volunteer HQ Phase 2 for volunteer resources being launched. And then on the 8th, there is a Zoom meeting for training at 4 p.m. Eastern. Then on the 12th, there will be the strategic plan presentation. And then on the 16th, the fundraising portion of the training scholarships will stop and we will open the time period for applications. The week after that, then Molina and I will have a webinar for becoming a SMART volunteer on April 20th. And then there will be another Zoom training meeting on the 27th. And finally, on the 30th is where the application period will close. And then that will be the end of Volunteer Month.
Okay, so as you may or may not know, in early 2020, SMART started the process for developing a strategic plan. Through this process, 4 key initiatives came to light. The first one is growing and strengthening our volunteer base. Second one is to develop our organizational culture, structure, and leadership. Third is strengthening our financial resources. And fourth is to raise awareness, use, and support for SMART recovery. While we're not going to go into a lot of detail today about the strategic plan and those initiatives, we do want to take a couple minutes here just to touch on them. So first we have grow and strengthen our volunteer base. We recognize that in order to increase the number of SMART recovery meetings we have available, we must expand the resources available to our volunteers, strengthen our training options, and enhance the communication with, supports to, and recognition of our volunteers. I am excited to tell you that we are also forming a meeting growth and volunteer support committee where volunteers, staff, and board members will work together to address these things.
Another point of the strategic plan as we grow is to develop our organization culture, structure, and leadership. So this will be looking at all areas of our organization from board members, national office staff, and volunteers, and looking at how we can use best practices for inclusion. You may have noticed on our main website, smartrecovery.org, we now have a Spanish landing page. So you can access that at the very top right where it says Espanol. And on the next slide, you'll see a big thing that came out of that objective is the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. So their goal is to make a more diverse, inclusive, and equitable organization by exploring the ways SMART can serve communities of different races, ethnicities, gender identities, sexual orientations, and abilities.
The third thing that came to light was the need to strengthen our financial resources. As we're highlighting all of the great resources and support that we are growing for you, our volunteers, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that the need for financial resources to pay for that support and growth. SMART will be focusing on fundraising more starting this year and asking for your understanding and support of it. Bill Greer will be covering this objective in more detail in the strategic plan presentation on April 12th. If you're interested in learning more about this, I encourage you to attend. The fourth point that came out of this was to raise awareness of, use of, and support for Smart Recovery USA. So similar to what we mentioned in the last objective, in order to grow, we must also improve and expand our marketing to spread Smart Recovery to those of us who need it. You'll soon see more effort placed on marketing and brand awareness. You will also notice that many of the materials that we're launching this month and through Volunteer HQ have a new logo. We're very excited about the brand's new look and feel. Documents will continue to be updated and they will be made available to you when we have them ready.
Hope that you will join us on the 12th for this 2-year strategic plan presentation by the president of the board, Bill Greer, and then also with executive director Mark Ruth, where they will be breaking down these 4 points and going more into detail about what you can expect from Smart Recovery in 2021 and 2022.
So if we go back just a little bit to that first initiative of volunteer support and meeting growth, one of the great things, and I'm so proud of all of the team that's been working on this, we're going to be rolling out phase 2 of our Volunteer HQ. So Volunteer HQ is our volunteer portal, and phase 2 has updated it with full resources available for our volunteers. There's going to be the resources. We'll have updated promotional materials with that new branding, an announcement section, and much, much more. While we are planning to go live with this tomorrow, watch your inbox for information on the April 7th official launch, which will include a virtual walkthrough of all that this portal has to offer. In addition to that, we are pleased to announce that we'll also be sending out our volunteer-focused newsletter, Volunteer Connection, during the middle of each month. We will use this newsletter to keep you up to date on what's happening, as well as providing answers to questions that we're frequently asked. And don't worry, if you miss an issue, we're going to keep the past issues available in Volunteer HQ as well. So as exciting as all the new resources that we have available to you are, I want to remind you of all of the resource that has been available longer than I've even been with SMART. And that's our ongoing training and support SMART meeting management meetings. We currently are offering 3 of these each week, open to all volunteers, including trainees who are going through training. So as they're going through, they could still come here. We also have a specialized SMM for facilitators of teen and young adult focused meetings. That specialized meeting meets on the 3rd Thursday of each month. So, oftentimes when I'm talking to new facilitators or even seasoned facilitators about the SMM meetings, what I hear is, hey, I'm not having a problem with any of my meetings, but, if I do, I'll attend one of the SMMs. My reply to them is always the same. I'm really happy things are going great for you and for your meetings. Maybe you could attend an SMM and share what's working with you with others. Our SMM meetings are such a great place to receive support, but also to give support. If you haven't attended one in a while, or even if you've never attended one, we encourage you to stop by. The links for the SMM meetings are made available on SmartCal. You can also access those by logging into Volunteer HQ to get those links. So now that we've talked about some of the supports available to our volunteers, let's take a look at how we can increase the number of volunteers we have. Molly, would you like to take a minute to talk about our volunteer month training scholarship goals?
So our goal through the 15th is to raise $10,000 so that we can fund 100 $100 scholarships. So this will be towards GSF 203 Facilitator and Family and Friends combo course. There, the link will be going out. If you go on the next slide, please. There will be a link going out through Volunteer Connection, or excuse me, an email to kick off Volunteer Month. So all the things going on this month, we just ask you to please keep an eye on your email. You'll be seeing lots of stuff coming from us. So we hope that you can keep updated with all of this.
All right, so now that we've talked about providing those scholarships, I want to take just a minute to let you know what the application process is going to be for those. So we're going to be accepting applications from April 16th through April 30th. And we're going to issue the scholarship codes early in May. So the first week to 10 days in May. And we're going to issue them all at once. So as Molly said, the scholarships are going to provide $100 off the cost of the Facilitator Family and Friends combo course, making that cost just $29. And again, our goal is to be able to provide 100 scholarships to qualifying applicants. So you may be asking yourself, who can qualify for this? Basically, anyone who is referred to us by a current facilitator or SROL liaison that plans to become an SROL volunteer, co-facilitate an existing meeting or take over as a facilitator for an existing meeting, or who plans to start a new Smart Recovery meeting that's open to the public, can qualify for this for these scholarships. We are not going to provide scholarships to treatment professionals who plan to start private closed meetings specifically for their patients and clients. So with this, keeping in mind of our theme of, we want to be providing support, and what we're going to do this year is that we're developing a process that will ensure that we're staying connected with scholarship applicants from the time they're approved through the time they join the meetings and after. So we'll be touching base with them. We'll be touching base with the people who refer them. We'll be offering support, encouragement, mentoring. If it seems like they're getting stuck on any issues in training, we'll reach out as well during them. So we're really excited that this is gonna, we really think, help us be successful with our Volunteer Month scholarships. Molly, can you tell everyone about an upcoming opportunity that we have for those who want to become volunteers but just aren't sure where they want to volunteer?
This is perfect for all of our applicants with the scholarships. So on April 20th, Molina and I will be talking about information on Smart Recovery. What does it take to volunteer? What's the process? Different volunteer roles. So we're hoping that we'll see potential volunteers, different community members, and we're hoping that maybe you might come and learn about different roles in Smart Recovery, maybe meeting participants. So there's also that information that's coming out soon.
So now that we've covered all the great things that we have going on for Volunteer Month, I'm sure you're just sitting there asking yourselves, now what? What do I do with all this information? So we have a few suggestions for you. If you have a participant in your meeting that you think is going to be a good volunteer and meets the qualifications that we've outlined, encourage them to fill out that application. Keep in mind that we will be reaching out to anyone who makes that referral to us just to get feedback on how we can best support this person as they go through training and get started. Also, remember to watch your emails for communications about the official launch of Volunteer HQ on April 7th, the strategic planning presentation on April 12th, and the volunteer webinar on April 20th. You guys are going to get a lot of emails from us. We plan to keep reminding you of things that we have going on. So We hope you don't block us. And the last thing you could do, and I'm sounding like a broken record here again, is, if you haven't attended an SMM meeting, check one out. I mean, this is the perfect opportunity for you guys to do that.
So during your registration, there was an area where you were able to ask us some questions that you wanted to see during the presentation. So Molina and I want to go through these questions. The first question being, when will the handbook be updated?
So we actually received several questions about the handbook and the science behind it, and when that resource is going to be updated. I can tell you that we do have an update being planned right now. We don't have a date quite yet for when that's going to happen.
What about the in-person national conference this year?
All right. Yeah. So we're not going to be offering an in-person conference this year. We will, however, be doing a virtual conference on October 23rd. As the additional details and plans are finalized, we will be sending that information out as well.
Great. So what about the plan for standardizing documents and artwork? Oh, I missed a question. I'll go back.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So as far as standardizing documents and artwork, we've received, again, quite a few questions about this. Wording that looks different in different parts of our website and in different materials. So we do have in our marketing and communications plan this year to review all of that content for consistency and clarification in messaging. We're hoping to get that updated in Q2 and Q3 of this year.
To go back, what about more family and friends videos and resources?
So let me start by saying we've heard you. We've gotten a lot, not just with this registration. This is something I'm hearing a lot from our family and friends facilitators. We know that we need more subjects in the handbook. We've had requests for podcasts specifically for family and friends, downloadable resources, family and friends specific regional coordinators. What I can tell you is that there's an update in progress for the handbook. I'm not exactly sure, again, because that's not a staff project. I'm not sure exactly of the date. I wish I had had some more time to gather that information. We're also planning to create an SMM specifically for family and friends facilitators. That's something that we've heard a lot of people really want that. So we're working on that. We'll share that information with you as soon as we get it available. Also, our marketing and communication team is always looking for content for family and friends, for things such as the podcast, the blogs, the videos, those kinds of things, so that we can share them with you each month. If you're interested in helping us out with any of this, please visit, share your story in Volunteer HQ. We would love to hear from you. We want you to be part of this. And just to touch a moment on the regional coordinators specifically for family and friends, the regional coordinators we have are able to help and provide support regardless of the kind of meeting you're running. It doesn't matter if it's family and friends or regular. I know a lot of our regional coordinators are actually family and friends facilitators as well. So in the states that don't have regional coordinators, you guys can feel free to reach out to me or to either one of the regional coordinator co-chairs. We have Kevin Minnick and Alexander Carde. You can get their contact information also in Volunteer HQ underneath regional coordinators. And then again, until we get that family and friends focused SMM coming up, go ahead and join the SMMs that we have. Okay, Molly, where are we at? Any more?
Process for submitting new tools and materials.
Oh, yeah, this is great that this followed right behind that. So
did it on purpose.
We did it on purpose. Yeah, so we hear a lot that our facilitators have some different resources that they're using. What we want to tell you is that if you think those resources are going to be helpful to others, submit them to our materials review committee for consideration and inclusion in additional resources. So the process for that also can be found on Volunteer HQ under volunteer resources. There's a section specific to submit new materials. So before we move on here, you guys are going to notice this theme of I'm going to keep directing you to Volunteer HQ. Volunteer HQ was a project, we kept hearing as an organization from our facilitators, I have to go here and click there and go here and click there, and I can never find anything on the website. Volunteer HQ is kind of bringing all of those things into one place so that you can find them.
So what are some meeting management tips, Molina?
Okay, so here we go, guys. Broken record again. The SMM meetings are a great way to get meeting management tips. You can go and talk to the other facilitators, learn what they're doing. If the SMM times are just impossible for you to attend, your regional coordinators or myself can help. All you have to do is reach out, send an email, give us a call, anything, and we're happy to work with you one-on-one on those tips.
What is the plan for in-person Zoom meetings after the pandemic?
Okay, this is another exciting one because it's something I hear a lot. So, I'm glad that we got the questions that I hear often through emails so that we could talk about them. So we're very hopeful that a lot of our meetings are going to start returning face-to-face. But we realize that, there are some meetings that really want to remain on that Zoom. They want to remain local online meetings. I'm very happy to report to you that that is going to remain an option even after the pandemic. So we're still going to be able to offer face-to-face meetings, SROL meetings, and our local online meetings.
With that in mind for Zoom meetings, what about substitutes for meetings?
Okay, so for our local online meetings, you can have an alternate host added to your meeting. The alternate host would be able to have all of the abilities you have as a host. And they can be added as long as they're associated. They have to have a Zoom account through us, and they have to be associated with your meeting in our system. So it would be registering with us so that we have them tagged to that meeting, whatever that meeting ID number is, and then registering to get a Zoom license through us. We do suggest that it's best to plan ahead for this, as it can take a day or two to get that alternate host set up so that they can open the meeting for you. For guidance on how to add an alternate facilitator, again, go back and visit Volunteer HQ. The information for that is located under local online meeting resources. Underneath, and when you click on that page, it's underneath meeting tools. So you'll be able to find that information there. And if you have any troubles, let me know.
Tell me about ways that people are attracting more participants to meetings.
Okay, so some of the ideas that I've heard shared through some of the SMM meetings or other meetings that I've been in is reaching out to local treatment centers, area courts, those kinds of things, just to let people know that your meeting's there. And let them know that they can make referrals to your meeting so they can suggest their clients attend your meetings. If they're not willing to make referrals, the possibility they may just allow you to leave some brochures or flyers or things like that in their waiting rooms. Another way that you can help increase participants is to reach out to your local media and just let them know that your meetings are there, you know, what SMART is. We are going to, I don't know if we're going to have it with the initial rollout of Volunteer HQ tomorrow, but we will be providing a template press release to kind of help start that process for you. And again, here's my broken record again. And again, please visit our SMM meetings for other ideas on how to attract participants.
So I know that we've all been thinking about an SROL website upgrade. What can you tell me about that?
So I could tell you that we are evaluating options for that upgrade and the SROL platform. Over the next few months, we're going to really be looking at that and being very planful of looking at things that aren't just going to meet our needs today, but will meet them in the future. So I can't tell you when it's going to happen, but I can tell you the planning part's happening, which is exciting.
Guidance for returning to face-to-face meetings.
Okay, so we have put together a task force specifically for this topic. We know that meetings, you know, things are starting to open back up. Face-to-face meetings are happening. They're going to start happening. We have a lot of meetings that are either being held online right now, or they were placed on hiatus when COVID started. So we know you need guidance on this. The one thing that we've talked about is, you know, it's really going to be a local decision and a decision between you and your participants when they're ready to start that opening up process. Also, you know, reaching out to, if you had a location previously, reaching out to them and talking to them about what their guidelines are. So, you know, if you're ready to open back up on June 1st, but the facility isn't ready to open up until September 1st, you might want to start looking at alternate plans for that. One thing I can tell you we are going to do is, and I'm not sure if this applies to anyone here because I can't see the participant list, is I'm going to be sending out an email to all of our facilitators who have already opened their meetings back up to face-to-face, just to kind of get the advice. What do they recommend? You know, what worked for them, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be sending out an email asking for that. And as we get answers, we're going to start sharing those in our Volunteer Connection newsletter. So stay tuned. All right. So before we get into this, it looks like we have probably about 10 to 15 minutes that we can start taking some questions that were put in chat. What we're going to do is ask Christy. Christy is our Assistant Executive Director. We're going to ask Christy if she can read those to us, and Molly and I will answer them to the best of our ability. If there are questions that we don't get to today, we will provide an answer to those through email. We'll send that email out to everyone who registered with those answers, as well as putting them answers, doing like a Q&A kind of thing in our Volunteer Connection newsletter for this month.
Hi, Molina, it's Karen. I'm actually going to do this for Christy.
Oh, so Karen.
We're tag teaming.
All right, that works. So whoever, I have the chat closed. I see there's a lot going on, but it was very distracting for me, so I closed it.
Yep,
So go ahead.
I've got 5 questions for you so far. The first question, will this PowerPoint be made available after today's presentation? Where can people find it?
Absolutely. The PowerPoint will be made available. And I'm drawing a blank on where. We're probably going to send an email out about it, as well as making it available on Volunteer HQ.
Thank you. The next question, this is about scholarships. Are you requiring 6 months away from the maladaptive behavior for scholarships?
This is sounding like an SROL requirement. So you can take the training, but you would need to be within that abstinence requirement in order to apply.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, hold on, Karen, let me touch a little
Mhm.
more on this. So for our face-to-face meetings, we do not have that abstinence, 6-month abstinence required for those meetings. That is a specific SROL requirement.
Thank you. The next question, why doesn't SMART offer free PDFs of the handbooks, as most of the materials are available on the website and there's no cost beyond the initial production cost?
So this is a really good question. Our handbooks and the purchase of our handbooks actually helps us cover the cost of all of the operational stuff we do. So if we make that available, we lose that income. And if we lose that income, we start to actually lose resources. So we do make key resources available on our website, just not the entire book.
Great, thank you. Next, is there a plan to set up a Canadian not-for-profit smart recovery entity so that we can expand Canadian operations and be able to get donations with a tax benefit for Canadians?
All right, I am going to have to defer this question. Christy, are you able to touch on this, or is this something we can just answer through emails?
We're going to give her a chance to unmute.
We
Christy,
read
are
it
you-
again, so I'm clear on the tax,
Sure.
the Canadian.
Is there a plan to set up a Canadian not-for-profit smart recovery entity so that we can expand Canadian operations and be able to get donations with a tax benefit for Canadians?
Yeah, actually, I won't get into it in great detail, but I can tell you that we are in the process of forming Smart Recovery Canada. And so when all of that is done and finalized, I'm sure that they will be working on that.
Thank you. I'm going to keep you off of mute in case more questions apply. The next one, why do some of the objectives mention in the US only? Is there a strategic plan for Canada or the UK? I'm hoping raising awareness, marketing, and growth and strengthening is also in Canada. So I guess beyond the US.
Okay, so the strategic plan, I can tell you that we had volunteers from Canada who were helping with that. The UK is a separate Smart Recovery. So we're all now kind of falling under Smart Recovery International, but we have the different areas. So Smart Recovery USA, and as Christy mentioned, they're forming the Smart Recovery Canada. Right now, Canada has fallen under us with the strategic plan as we were planning it. I know there's been changes. Christy, do you want to touch on that? Somebody muted her again.
Okay, thank you for that. Actually, I am going to ask that you unmute our board vice president, Brett Srol, and she can speak to what's going on with Smart Recovery International briefly and those relationships. And sorry, Brett, to put you on the spot, but I think you'd be a great person since you are on their board as well.
I was trying to type in the chat the answer to this.
I did see that.
I don't think that many people are that fascinated by this, but yes, for the last couple of years, we started SRI, which is Smart Recovery International, which is functions, you can think of it as the UN of SMART, because prior to this, the United States was in fact the one global SMART overseer of the world. And we decided, for a lot of reasons that didn't make sense as SMART expanded around the world, cultural reasons, political reasons, tax reasons. So now we report to SMART International as well. And they hold like our copyright, and they're actually the ones who came up with our new logo that was mentioned earlier. We sit on their board, we go to a lot of their meetings, and they they now have started licensing a lot of new smart entities in countries such as Canada. Canada is the most newly minted one, but it's a little unclear about who exactly is in part of Canada because there was some discrepancy between Alberta and Montreal and parts of Canada. But yes, it is a very collaborative system. It's designed to be, where we share ideas about everything from fundraising to what's the latest science and addiction and that kind of thing. And you also find out that people are doing things in very different ways. And often the US is not doing things the best way.
Thank you, Brett. The next question, we're getting back to scholarship. We have a couple of questions about the scholarships. The first one, it's the same one. For the volunteer scholarship, is it a requirement for the person to take recovery and family and friends training, even if they do not intend on hosting a family and friends meeting?
Yes, so it is required that because we're doing the family and friends and facilitator combo. And we talked about this extensively last year. This is the same scholarship we offered last year. So we know that a lot of our standard meetings also have family and friends who kind of come and join, and that's great. We just want to make sure that the people we're providing scholarships for are prepared for that part of the meeting as well, and to open up to create more family and friends meetings as well. So that's why we're doing both.
Great. So the next that I have for you, they're not questions. There is one more question, but I want to tell you how exciting it is to see in the chat. We have people who want to know, is there anything they could do to volunteer with Smart Recovery International? They want to learn about starting recovery meetings at university. They want information and worksheets and meetings. So I'm guessing a lot of this is going to be there at Volunteer HQ. Is that right?
That is, and again, I'm sorry, I closed down the chat because it was just getting to be too much for me to try to focus on what I was saying as well.
Absolutely.
But I will be getting a copy of this chat. So I will reach out. We do have your emails because you registered. So I can reach out, pay attention to Volunteer HQ announcements, the Volunteer Connection email, because we'll be addressing some of the things you're bringing up in chat that we don't have the time to get to through those mediums as well.
Okay, and I've just asked our training person, Katie, to unmute because one question is specific for training. Katie, how does someone sign up for more training on top of the one they just completed? They want to get all of the training to be a fantastic asset for Smart Recovery.
That's wonderful. So if you go to smartrecoverytraining.org, you will be able to view all of our training options. And there you can register once you have decided what additional training course you want to take. If you have taken the facilitator training, you can then take the family and friends add-on training course. And yeah, you look for any future training courses that we also have coming up.
Molina, another question. I know that
I'm sorry, Karen, before we move on, I want to add on a little bit to the training question that Katie answered, because you did a great job. But back in the beginning of the presentation, when we were talking about volunteer and volunteer support and growth, one thing that the committee that's focused on meeting growth and volunteer support is doing is we are actually working with our training team to start providing some continuing education opportunities. So areas where if it's a 1 hour meeting or an hour and a half presentation, or where you can learn new skills and practice the skills you've already learned. So looking very much forward to those things.
Thanks, Molina. In addition to the PowerPoint, people are loving this presentation and they're asking whether this recording will be made available to watch later and to reread the captions and catch any information that they missed.
So it is my hope that we will be sharing this recording. I believe because of privacy, we do need to reach out to everyone who's part of this to make sure they're good with everything being shared. And then hopefully we can get this up and posted and shared, because we have a lot of volunteers who probably have these same questions and weren't able to attend.
All right. That is all that I see right now in the chat.
Awesome. So,
so much, Karen.
Anytime.
Speaking of chat, I wanted to let everyone know 24/7 chat is available when you are registered for the online community. So keep that in mind, that is a volunteer group that is available for volunteering. So to the slide that we're on now, part of the 2021-2022 strategic planning goal, which is perfect for Volunteer Month, is implementing a volunteer recognition program. So we want to open up discussion if you're comfortable. And if you don't want to talk about it in front of everyone, you can also email Molina and I separately. But we want to hear what would make you feel valued and appreciated.
Molly and Molina, would you like me to unmute everybody?
I would absolutely love you to unmute everybody.
Okay, I'm going to give everybody the ability to unmute themselves. So when you want to, go ahead and unmute. There you go.
Hi, it's Brett again. I had actually written in a question that was about this very topic that didn't get read. And that was about a few years ago. Some of you may remember, we used to give out awards for volunteers. It was a very short-lived program. Maybe we did it at 2 or 3 conferences, and they were awards in different volunteer categories, like most fabulous online host or best new face-to-face facilitator, that sort of thing. And this was a very, for some reason, incredibly controversial program. A lot of people felt it sort of brought on a lot of competition between people, that volunteers were doing this, for their own recovery and for their own self. And it was, we decided to kill it because it got such negative, bad feeling amongst the SMART community. So I'm just wondering, instead of starting up something like that again, is there anything that would make volunteers feel excited about, this was nominating each other. It was meant to be kind of fun and light. We did it at the conference, but it totally didn't turn out like that. But I was just wondering if there's something like that we could do at the conference that might be fun and still significant, or just other ideas. Because I totally recognize that most people, I started volunteering for my own recovery. I saw it as a point 4 action to stay involved in the community, maintain my balance of life, keep my toehold in SMART while I wasn't attending meetings regularly. Start out by facilitating, give back and teach. And then when that got old, after a number of years, start doing other things behind the scenes. So any thoughts about would awards, what would be meaningful and enjoyable? Anything, any thoughts on that? Because obviously we're doing it for ourselves, but then there are people we want to acknowledge too that clearly go above and beyond, whether they're new, whether they've been around a long time. And just giving one award every year to someone who is essentially retiring, who's been around for 20 years, isn't really satisfying to me. I want to give out like 50 awards, to all kinds of people. So I'll shut up now.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, and your question that you asked kind of is what prompted this, in addition to our looking about this volunteer recognition program. So we definitely want to hear what kind of things we could do at the conference to recognize, but also those everyday things. How do we recognize you for what you do? I'm seeing some stuff popping up in the chat. Seeing a lot of, awards are not something.
May I just say something? On the online,
you've been doing the limelight, and you've been presenting some of the volunteers that have done some work. Why not just do an ongoing presentation of that, getting the information from people who send in saying, I really recognize so-and-so for doing such and such and so on, and just doing it on the website.
That's a really good idea.
Isn't probably what you want to hear, but running the groups gives me so much, like watching the changes of the people in my family and friends group. It gives me all the recognition and value I would ever want. I just am so pleased I know these skills, and that's where I get my pat on the back.
The mic's going in and out, so I'm not catching what you're saying. Sorry.
This is Ailey. Something that we might consider, and I don't know where you'd place it essentially, but where participants could put in a note that so-and-so said this at a meeting, or there was this great slide, or I appreciated this, sort of like thank you or appreciation notes for whatever their volunteer was. Fill out the little thing online and you could have a list of them.
I love that idea. I know that we often at the national office will get emails from participants saying, I just want you to know that this facilitator touched me in this way. And we do share those with the facilitator, but I really like that idea.
You could also go further with that and do a draw, quarterly or annually of those people that are in there, just a small token gift card or something like that, where it's just random draw. So it's not putting anybody, on the spot or offending them, in my opinion. That might work.
Awesome. You guys are amazing. I just got to say that.
I really like that idea. I really do. Thank you.
I'm seeing stuff on anniversaries too. Volunteer anniversaries.
Length of service is a good one. Just maybe pins or something like that. Just volunteer service award.
It's Russ from Alberta here. One of the previous commenters was talking about how they get personal satisfaction just from seeing people grow in their group. And I think I'm in that boat as well. I do like some of the focus spotlights I've seen in some of the emails or newsletters that were sent out about different facilitators. I think that's good. I don't think I need Smart Recovery International or USA or Canada to make me feel valued, but I would appreciate anything they can do to make me feel included. There's some days I feel that, wow, okay, so I started this Zoom meeting because COVID hit. And I'm fortunate because I'm in the Edmonton area. There's 2 other facilitators that have Zoom meetings. And we do get to attend each other's meetings and share some information. But whenever I go to an SMM, or today, I discovered there's possibly a whole bunch of other resources. I didn't understand some of the infrastructure we had in Alberta until today's meeting. So how to share some of the more grassroots information would really help me feel better supported.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks for sharing that, Russ. Thank you. And I can tell you, we are really working towards better communication with all of our volunteers about as much as possible. So I can't say enough to reach out to us if you have a need that we're not meeting, so that we can work to address that. Because with 3,000 volunteers plus, if one volunteer is feeling like they're excluded, there's more. And we don't want that to happen. All right, so we have just about a minute or so left. I'm looking forward to reading this chat because it's moving so quick I can't keep up with it. So that I can reach back out to everyone. We so appreciate you attending this. I'm really excited that we were able to do it. I would really like to start doing this more, where we share information with you, but also get information from you. So I want to say thank you on behalf of me and the rest of the national office staff. I'm sure Molly wants a chance to say thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone who volunteers for Smart Recovery. There's a lot for us to look forward to, and we know that you do all types of stuff for our organization. So we just thank your hard work and keeping up to date with what we have going on.
Thank you, everyone. And again, you can reach us through our emails. You can reach us anywhere through the website, the contact us, whichever one you submit. The question, regardless of the question, it's going to be shared with the most appropriate person to answer. So whether that's Molly or me or training or Christy or Mark or somebody, we will definitely be sharing that information.